So here the man ceased his mutterings and then the third bell was tapped. So what do you mean by uh, mutterings? Mutterings here, the whispers. Mutterings is whispers. Means words that are not understood by someone else. Then the third bell, it rang. Means the man stopped whatever he was just whispering. Then the third bell, it rang. Everyone picked up his knife and fork and began eating. I began crying instead, for by this time I was afraid to venture anything more. So, venture here is to understand. So the third bell was sounded. So everyone, they picked the knives and fork and they started eating. But Jitkala Shah, she was crying because she did not want to understand or to do anything more. By this eating, by formula, was not the hardest trial in that first day. Late in the morning, my friend Judwin gave me terribly warning. Judwin knew a few words of English and she had overheard the pale-faced woman talk about cutting our long, heavy hair. So what do you mean by overhear here? Overhear, overheard. Means to hear without knowledge of the speaker. To hear without knowledge of the speaker here. Okay, so what happened here? But these rules of eating were not the toughest thing to happen on the first day at the school. So before the noon time, her friend, whose name is Judwin, she gave Jitkala Shah a horrible information, means a shocking information, that Judwin knew that some words of English she had heard from the white woman talking about cutting our long and thick hair. Means the pale-faced woman, she was talking about cutting their hair. Whose hair here? Judwin's and Jitkala Shah's. Okay? So, our mothers had taught us that only unskilled warriors who were captured had their hair shingled by the enemy. Among our people, short hair was worn by mourners and singled hair by cowards. Here means she was just telling her friend that her mother, she just heard her mother talking about something, that an enemy would capture an unskilled or the coward soldier here. Then they would trim their hair of the captured soldier. The soldier who was trapped in the trap. So what they do? They just trim his hair. So in the community of Jitkala Shah, hairs were cut very short when somebody died in their family, or only the covered people, they had their trimmed hairs. Okay? Now we go to the next part. We discussed our fate, some moments, and when Judwin said we have to submit because they are strong, I rebelled. So here, fate. What do you mean by fate here? F-A-T-E. Fate means destiny. Okay? The next word is rebel here. They rebelled. I rebelled. Rebelled means to oppose. To oppose. So what she's saying, the two friends, they were talking, Jitkala Shah and Judwin. Judwin, that their destiny for some time. Judwin said that they will have to accept their orders because they are very powerful, they are strong. She told that they are strong, means they are very strong, they are very powerful, and she said that she is not, then she told, I rebelled. So who rebelled here? Jit Kalasha. She decided to oppose them. Who? Jit Kalasha. No, I will not submit. I will struggle first, I answered. So what she told? That she decided that she's going to oppose. She's not going to accept. Okay. So she will first make an effort not to accept the things that was given by the old woman, pale-faced woman. Next, I watched my chance, and when no one noticed, I disappeared. I crept up the stairs and quietly, as could in my squeaking shoes, my moccasins had been exchanged for shoes. Okay, so chance. Chance here is opportunity. Opportunity here. The next one is squeak. S-Q-U-E-A-K. Squeaking shoes. Squeak means to make shrill, R-I-L, shrill voice. Okay. So she was just waiting for the opportunity. She wanted to wait for the opportunity. When no one looked at her, then she hid. She wanted to hide herself. Her moccasins were already taken away and she was given shoes to wear. So whatever she was wearing, it was taken away and she was given shoes to wear. So these shoes were made sound while she used to walk. She walked very silently to the staircase and silently as her squeaking shoes allowed, means shrill voices it is making, but still she was just moving without noticed by others. So along the hall I passed without knowing whither I was going. Whither is where. Whither is where. So here, then she crossed the hall, turned aside to an open door. I found a large room with 3 white beds in it. So here what happened? Then she crossed the hall. She did not know where to go. Then she moved towards a door in the hall. Though this door, it entered a large room there, so in which there were 3 beds in that particular room. Next one. The windows were covered with dark green curtains which made the room very dim. Thankful that no one was there, I directed my steps towards the corner farthest from the door. So here dim here is the less light. The room in which there is less light. A room with less light. Okay, so farthest here is at the greater distance. Greater distance. So here what happened? The dark green curtains, they were put on the windows of this room. So therefore the room had less light. So she felt happy that no one was there in the room. She moved to the corner which was greatest distance from the door. So on my hands and knees, I crawled under the bed and huddled myself in the dark corner. From my hiding place, I peered out, shouting, shuddering with fear whenever I heard footsteps nearby. So here, huddle, Huddle. D. Huddled means lie with hands and legs close to the body. Lie with hands and legs close to the body. See the way in which she was just hiding here under the bed. So she crawled on her hands and knees and went under the bed. She put her hands and legs close to her body and lay under the bed. So from her hiding place, I peered out. Peered out means to look intently. Peered out means looked intently. Means looking out, staring. You can say shuddering. Shuddering means shivering, or you can say trembling. Shuddering here is trembling. Or shivering. Okay. So from there she was just staring outside and she started trembling. She started trembling because of fear when the sounds of footsteps came nearer and nearer to her or close to her. So though in the hall loud voices were calling my name and I knew that even Judwin was searching for me, I did not open my mouth to answer. So what happened? So in the hall, many people, they were just calling her name very loudly. Judwin, I think, means she was just thinking that even Judwin, her friend, even she might be searching for her. But she did not open her mouth to answer anyone's call. Then the steps were quickened and the voices became excited. The sounds came nearer and nearer. Women and girls entered the room. So what happened here? After some time, it appeared that people were moving very quickly. The voices were more anxious than before. The sounds of the steps, they were coming nearer to Jitkalasha. And many women and girls, they entered the room where this Jitkalasha was hiding herself. So I held my breath and watched them open closet doors and peep behind large trunks. Someone closet. What do you mean by closet here? Closet is an almirah. What do you mean by closet? Closet is a almirah. Okay. The next one is trunk. Trunk means box. Okay. So what happened here? Jitkalasha started breathing very slowly. She saw that they opened the door of almirah. They looked behind the trunks. Somebody raised the curtains up. The room was suddenly full of light. What caused them to stoop and look under the bed? I do not know. I remember being dragged out. I remember being dragged out, though I resisted my kicking and scratching wildly. So stoop. What do you mean by stoop? S-T-O-O-P. Stoop means to bend. To bend downwards, you can say. Okay. Wildly. Wildly means vigorously. Wildly is vigorously. So what happened? They bent down and they looked under the bed. They do not why they do so. So Jit Kalasha was pulled out. She resisted being pulled out. She started kicking her legs and started scratching vigorously. So in spite of myself, I was carried downstairs and tied fast in a chair. So what happened? So against her wish, they carried her to the lower floor where she was tightly tied in a chair. I cried aloud, shaking my head, all the while under I felt the cold blades of the scissors against my neck and heard them gnaw off one of my thick braids. Then I lost my spirit. So what do you mean by gnaw off? Means cut slowly. So what happened here? She cried loudly. She was just shaking her head while crying. Then she felt blades of scissors on back of her neck. She stopped crying. She heard the sound of scissors. It had closely cut one of her braids. Then she lost her courage. She lost her spirit or courage. So since the day I was taken from my mother, I had suffered extreme indignities. People had stared at me. I had been closely tossed about in the air like a wooden puppet. So what do you mean by indignities? Indignities means insults. Indignities means insults. So here she suffered extreme insults since she moved away from her mother. So people, they started staring at her. They gave her orders without considering her own desire. She was just like, so that's why she told that she had been tossed about in the air like a wooden puppet. And I know, and now my long hair was shingled like a cowards. In my anguish, I mourned for my mother, but no one came to comfort me. Not a soul reasoned quietly with me as my own mother used to do, for now I was only one of many little animals driven by a herder. Here, anguish, A-N-G-U-I-S. Anguish means grief, sadness. Okay, the next one is moaned. M-O-A-N-E-D. Moaned means called in a low, painful voice. Called in a low voice. So what happened here? Now her hairs were also trimmed just like a coward. So she was very sad. She slowly called her mother, but nobody came to support her. She was just shouting for her mother, but nobody came and supported her. Her mother used to talk to her very peacefully. Only a mother, not a soul. Not a soul here is nobody. Not a soul means nobody came to console her. So what happened? So here her mother used to talk to her very peacefully. Only the mother used to talk to her in this fashion. But here no one, no person talked to her without shouting at her, because she was considered one of many small animals and the herderer used to order. Herderer means the one who keeps animals. One who keeps animals. So this is the end of this part.